Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm discussing 5 Criterion Collection films that feature a lead performance, a star performance, something that really grabs the screen with a famous icon that doesn't let go, that surely won't let you down. And the very first thing I could think of for this video was, of course, one of the all-time great actors who has been in countless over-the-top dramatic roles. This actor is called Toshiro Mifune, and I recently purchased the Yojimbo Senjuro double pack, but if you haven't heard of Yojimbo, this is the story of a wandering samurai who literally throws a stick in the air and it just lands a certain way, and he goes to that town and he's sort of a mercenary and he kind of makes up his name, like he's very mysterious, and he ends up pitting 2 different gangs against each other. And this was the inspiration, of course, for A Fistful of Dollars, and this helped to get Sergio Leone's career off the ground, just watching this film. But I couldn't think of anyone more iconic for this kind of thing. I mean, he takes up so much of the screen with his sheer presence, and I'm going to tell you something about Toshiro Mifune. He's entertaining, he's funny, and he is very adept with the sword. I mean, watching him tear his way through enemies, it's lightning fast. This is the kind of energy that you want your star to bring to the screen. Just really, I put off Yojimbo for a long time and really watching it because I thought, well, I love Westerns so much. I love these spaghetti Westerns. How, can I compare them to the old original? And that was a great mistake that I had to learn. Always respect the original, folks. Yojimbo. And the sequel, by the way, Senjuro is really cool too. It's after you already know about this mercenary, and he kind of helps another group. Both films are great. Of course, you can get this in the 4K from Criterion. And this artwork and this packaging may not look super stunning on camera, but I was really pleased with how this looked. Of course, there's also a Blu-ray. Another one that caught my attention, I could not mention this. I talk about this film from time to time. I wanted to think of someone who had a lasting impression in American history and in the mind of an average American for a long time, and that person having their own movie that dealt with rising star power and what it means to go too far and what it means to be so self-absorbed that you destroy the world around you. And of course, Elia Kazan's A Face in the Crowd is just that movie. Now, you may think Andy Griffith from his show, The Andy Griffith Show, would be sort of just Sheriff Andy, right? In that little fun old, comedy series about Mayberry. But no, in this, he gives a landmark performance in the collection, in my opinion, one of the most engaging that the collection has to offer. He's a drunk in jail, and he's picked up by this woman, played by Patricia Neal beautifully in the film, who picks him up from jail and gets him on this direction of being this country music star, and he kind of goes beyond that even, and as his fame increases, he destroys everything around him. And there are some really good scenes with her in it. His singing is fun. It's easy to see why people fall for his ruse, but as the film goes along, you see a much darker side than you might expect out of Andy Griffith. And I think Elia Kazan is great at giving us these character arcs that go through a journey. We see this in movies like A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. And I just think that of all of the performances that really surprised me, I always liked Andy Griffith as an actor, but this one really took me by storm, and it has that star power. Pretty appropriate for the video. Now, I was trying to think, all right, what is the performance from an actress that really sinks its teeth into this idea that I have of someone who can just steal the show and light up the room and just gather every eye right toward that person. And I don't know if there's any better example of this than Gilda and Rita Hayworth flicking her hair up in that wonderful entrance. That's second maybe only to The Third Man with Orson Welles. But Rita Hayworth is it is an iconic role. It's a well-acted role. It's an emotionally charged role. There's some comedy in there. She even sings. Like, she is sort of this, let's call her a wife to this gangster. And Glenn Ford, who himself gives a great performance, although he's just overshadowed by Rita Hayworth, He sort of joins this other gangster and his wife. And there's a little bit of a love triangle possibly going on. Maybe not, though. Similar a little bit to Shades of Casino, if you've seen that Martin Scorsese film. In fact, I would say if you're a fan of Casino by Martin Scorsese, this is a must-watch. I enjoy this movie almost as much as Casino, and Casino is one of my favorite movies because I think you're going to see pieces of that Sharon Stone character. And that kind of goes back to what I'm saying by someone who can just light up the room and really get everyone engaged. You might think of the Jessica Rabbit character that sort of is a parody a little bit maybe of this in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And I had heard some negative things about Gilda, and it didn't have as high of ratings as some of the old Hollywood movies, and that's nonsense. Gilda is a terrific film noir. It's one of the best black and whites of the 40s with those kind of actresses. The only thing I maybe like a little bit better from the 40s with a great actress is one of my favorite movies, Leave Her to Heaven. So I highly recommend this if you want that star power presence. Speaking of star power, and speaking of larger than life, what about the Duke? What's a John Wayne in the collection? Well, there are a few, but there's one I don't talk about on here as much that I think really kind of highlights what it's like. You know, John Wayne, if his presence became much like Andy Griffith's in A Face in the Crowd, so overpowering, so self-absorbed that it destroys those around him. And that film would be The Red River, or Red River, by Howard Hawks. And this is a cattle drive movie featuring Montgomery Clift, and John Wayne forces this cattle drive through all kinds of difficult terrain and obstacles. And this is not completely different from his great role in The Searchers, although I think The Searchers was his best movie and is one of my favorite Westerns by a considerable margin. But if you love John Wayne movies and you haven't seen Red River, I wanted to point this one out for a few reasons. One, and a big one, a lot of people see this in color, and I can't imagine a colorized Red River. That's just awful to me. I would encourage you to see the black and white, but also I don't know if people actually know this is in the collection. There are more Westerns in the collection that might meet the eye. Definitely worth seeing, and this is one of those where I really love the packaging quite a bit. Just the simplicity. Very stylish there, Red River. Great performance from John Wayne. Some people don't love the end. I like the whole movie. I think it's really good. All right, the biggest star of all. The biggest star in the entire collection. The star that has maybe captured motion pictures and cinema as much as any, ever. A star who has been in drama, war, comedy, slapstick, you name it, this star has been there. None other than Godzilla. Folks, you have to see the original Godzilla. If you haven't, Criterion loved him so much they gave a huge giant pack to him. The old original Godzilla is about these mysterious incidents that keep happening and crashes and activity and so forth, and people don't exactly know what it is until, of course, they figure out it is Godzilla. And his first appearance is like, you might make fun a little bit of some of the special effects, but they are haunting, they are powerful. This is a terrifying creature. This is a creature that I don't think any other entity that's ever been on screen has had the same effect as Godzilla. You know, the 90s Godzilla, the American Godzilla, was actually parodied in another Godzilla from Japan where they killed that Godzilla, you know, because it wasn't Godzilla enough. I mean, this is a creature who has had era after era. You know, I've seen many Godzilla films. I do encourage you to see the original in the Japanese and just buy this whole pack if you haven't. Also, that's how good this character is. I genuinely felt terrible at the end of Godzilla. I felt as if I was watching all of the mistakes of humanity add up into a terrifying conclusion. Godzilla is the king of the monsters. And I had to wear my Godzilla shirt for this video. A group of students got this for me one year. Really, really love this shirt. I wear a lot of black, so they wanted it to match. But those are some of my recommendations. Those are just 5 I pulled off my shelves that I thought of that had that star power, you know. What are some that you could add to my list that you would like to put in the comments? I'd love to hear from you. And I think if you like the video today and you want to click the like button, likes do grow YouTube channels, I like to say. Consider subscribing if you haven't. I cover different Criterion content on here, Westerns, just lots of stuff, anything I like to talk about or think about when it comes to movies, and we will see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.